Courage did everything right. He faced down cosmic horrors, saved his family 1,000 times over, and screamed his little pink lungs out trying to warn them. And when the dust settled, what did he get? A grumpy old man calling him a stupid dog! 20 years of relentless terror. That's what he got for being the hero no one asked for. We call him a coward, but his story teaches us something most people missed about fear. And it might be the most important lesson in the entire show. To see it, we have to go back to where the damage began. Let's rewind this. Courage doesn't start as a hero. He starts as an orphan, a tiny purple puppy who saw his parents launched into space, a trauma so deep it would define his entire existence. He's found by Muriel, a sweet old woman who takes him to the middle of nowhere. No note, no name, just a shivering pup, waiting for someone to decide if he was worth keeping. Muriel gave him love, a home, a name. But she also gave him something that would ruin his life. She gave him a reason to be afraid. He spent his whole puppyhood trying to protect the one good thing in his life from a world that seemed hell-bent on destroying it. He saw things no one else did. Every shadow, every knock at the door. Because when you've already lost everything once, you live every second waiting for it to happen again. And the cruel part, his fears were always real. The monsters were always at the door. Proof that his anxiety wasn't just in his head. Courage wasn't just a dog. He was a mirror that made his world feel as terrifying as it truly was. But someone else was watching, Eustace. And he wasn't just indifferent, he was cruel. The show tells us Eustace is just a grumpy old farmer. We're supposed to accept that. Sweet old lady, mean old man, scared little dog. End of story. But look closer. Muriel's love was unconditional, but it was also blind. She never saw the danger. Eustace didn't just ignore the danger, he was often the source of it, his greed and bitterness inviting evil into their home. Watch that dynamic. That's not just a scared dog, that's a child living in a home with one parent who enables the danger and another who embodies it. That silence, that dismissal, broke something in Courage that was never going to heal. What happens next isn't a cartoon. It's a case study in complex trauma. Courage screams. He panics. He tries to warn them. And every single time, he's ignored. Eustace, the man who's supposed to be a protector, pulls out a scary mask and says, "Booga, booga, booga! The world is ending and your father figure is making a joke out of your terror." We're supposed to think it's funny. Courage did something brave. True. But the thing that made him, the constant gaslighting, the isolation, the identity he never got to choose, that started long before the first monster showed up. Nobody got punished for that. The easy read on Courage is that he's a scaredy cat. A walking punchline whose fear is the joke. Simple. But that's the story we tell because it's comfortable. It makes him the problem. And if he's the problem, we don't have to look at the terrifying world he lives in, or the dysfunctional family that keeps him there. But that's not the whole story. Courage never believed he was brave. He believed Muriel's life depended on him. Every scream, every frantic gesture, every desperate plan. It was never about being a hero. It was about keeping the one person who ever showed him kindness safe. That's the trap of being a survivor. You spend the rest of your life terrified you'll have to do it again. The monsters weren't just monsters to Courage. They were a test of his worthiness, a test of his ability to prevent the inevitable. Proof that the love was real but fragile. Proof that his existence was more than just someone else's pet project. And when Eustace dismissed him, Courage didn't just get his feelings hurt, he lost the only validation he had, that his fear was real. Now look at Muriel. We want to see her as the perfect caregiver. The movie lets us. She's the sweet old lady who loves her dog. But Muriel wasn't just a victim here. She was an enabler. Every time she hummed in her rocking chair while a demon tried to steal her soul, that was a choice. Every time she patted Courage's head and said, "Oh, Courage," without truly listening, another choice. She built a world of comfort for herself and left Courage to stand guard at the gates. That's the betrayal Courage couldn't survive. Not the monsters. Monsters are predictable. They want to hurt you. But Muriel? She was supposed to be safe. Muriel looked her terrified child in the eye at the worst moments of his life and chose blissful ignorance. "Who's my little doggy?" she'd ask as the world crumbled. And Courage's answer, a silent scream. 20 years of terror. And that's the response he gets. A pat on the head. A dismissal. It wasn't my problem. No wonder he couldn't stop being afraid. Letting go would mean admitting he'd been screaming into a void for 20 years. And sometimes holding on to the fear feels easier than grieving the safety you never had. We've all met Courage. Maybe we've been him. The kid who was told they were too sensitive and spent the next 15 years trying to prove their feelings were valid. The one who saw the cracks in the foundation, the dysfunction in the family, the danger everyone else agreed to ignore. Not because you wanted to, but because someone had to, and you believed them. The anxiety wasn't your idea, but it became your identity. And somewhere along the way, you stopped being able to tell the difference between what you felt and what the world told you to feel. Just relax comes with conditions nobody reads out loud. The people telling you to calm down aren't always the ones who will protect you. And by the time you figure that out, you've already given the best years of your life to a threat that keeps changing its face. Courage gave everything, and everything was never enough. Not because he failed, but because safety was never real. The only person who didn't know that was him. That's what anxiety actually looks like. It's not about weakness. It's not, "You could have been brave." It's waking up one day and realizing the person you built is just a collection of survival mechanisms, stacked on top of each other waiting to collapse. Courage didn't fail to be brave. His bravery was wasted on a world that refused to see it. And he spent 20 years in a lonely farmhouse, blaming himself for its horrors. The fear makes sense. It's not cowardice. It's grief with its eyes wide open. When you've seen the worst and you still have to get up in the morning, what's left? Just the fear and that quiet voice underneath asking if it will ever end. And that's where it keeps you. The fear feels like the only thing that's real. But fear doesn't free you. It keeps you loyal to the thing that broke you. So when courage finally wins, he's not celebrating. He's just waiting for the next thing. But what he finds when he looks in the mirror, that's the part that could change everything for him and maybe for you. Courage gets the computer after years of terror, after fighting monsters from myth, space, and the deepest parts of the human psyche. After confronting the embodiment of his own trauma, he finally has a tool. He types in his problem and it gives him an answer. A cold, logical, often cynical answer. You're a dog, you're pink, you're a coward. It's nothing. No secret technique, no ultimate power. Just his own reflection staring back at him, filtered through a machine. It's nothing. He says it with a whimper because to him, it makes perfect sense. The computer is empty because there is no secret ingredient. The power was never in the answer. It was in asking the question. But courage can't accept that. His entire life was built around the idea that something external would finally make him safe. The computer was supposed to be the answer, the proof, the thing that turned all those years of pain into something worthwhile. And it's just a snarky British voice telling him what he already knows. For a hero, an empty scroll is freedom. It means the power was in you all along. For a survivor, An empty answer is the cruelest possible truth. It means the thing you destroyed your life chasing never existed. It means you were enough the whole time and nobody told you. There's no comfort in that, only devastation. Watch his face in that moment. That's not a cartoon dog. That's a child holding proof that his whole life was a waste. He can't let go of the fear because letting go means admitting there was never a prize for surviving. And if there was never a prize, then what was it all for? So he screams, not to win anymore, just because screaming is the only thing he has left, and he keeps going. And this is the part that's hard to sit with. Sometimes the trauma isn't your fault. Sometimes you did everything right. Sometimes you were brave, resourceful, dedicated, and it still didn't matter because the world was broken before you showed up. But here's the harder thing. Knowing it wasn't your fault doesn't free you. Not automatically. You can understand exactly how you got here and still be stuck. Because understanding isn't the same as healing. Courage understood. In those final moments of every episode, he saw the truth. The monster was gone, but nowhere was still nowhere. Muriel's love was real, but it was never going to protect him. Eustace's cruelty was never going to make sense. He saw it and he couldn't escape it. That's the tragedy. Not that he didn't know, that he knew, and it wasn't enough. I know this one personally. Growing up, everyone told me I was too quiet, too worried. You think too much. So I waited for the war to make sense. But being the worried one becomes the thing you're terrified to let go of. What if I stop looking for danger and then it comes? So I did nothing. Not lazy, scared. As long as I was worrying, I was in control. I was holding my own list of potential disasters, waiting for something to be checked off, not realizing I was the one who had to put the pen down. Courage never got there. He saw the cycle and it trapped him. I almost let it trap me too. It was always a choice. The people who promised you safety, they couldn't deliver. The finish line you've been running towards, it's not there, but that's not a tragedy. Not unless you make it one. That means you get to decide what safety looks like yourself. No one else's expectations. No one else's definition of what you're supposed to be. Courage couldn't see that. It looked like an endless nightmare to him. Like proof that nothing mattered. But it's not empty, it's open. The last time we see Courage, he's not brave. He's just surviving. Still trying to protect the thing that was never going to be completely safe. You're still here. Maybe you've been staring at your own monsters for years, and you didn't break. That's not nothing. That's the whole thing. Wasted potential isn't what you didn't do. It's who you didn't become. Courage never got to find out who he was without the fear. You still can. And maybe that's enough. Maybe it always was. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt like Courage, screaming into the void, trying to protect something fragile in a world that doesn't listen, then you're not alone. And if you want more stories like this, more deep dives into the characters we thought we understood, hit that subscribe button. Because these are the lessons hiding in the shows we grew up with. The ones that matter. The ones that change how you see yourself. So subscribe and let's find the truth together. You deserve to know what you've been carrying all this time.